with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about Quinn Ewers. And as you guys know, he has been the quarterback for the Texas Longhorns for the last 3 years, for the last 3 seasons, whatever you want to call it. He spent his first season, ironically, at Ohio State. And from what I heard, he was apparently Sawyer's roommate in his first year there. So obviously, when he ended up getting sacked by him, that was a more of a friendly moment than anything else. But in that situation, that couldn't have gone any more wrong. But again, this announcement came after Texas ended up losing to Ohio State, and I think this announcement was sort of influenced by the fact that Texas was going to move on from Quinn Ewers, and they were going to essentially put Arch Manning at the starting quarterback position, which is something that a lot of Texas fans have really anticipated for, and that is something that they desperately want. A Manning in a Texas uniform. What could be, simply put, what's better than that? But Quinn Ewers in the last few seasons, he was 293 for 445 passing for 2,472 yards. He also threw 31 touchdowns in his college years and 12 interceptions. His completion percentage and interception rate was up from 2023, but he threw 9 more touchdown passes over 2 more games than he did in 2023. Now, Ewers missed 2 games this season because of an oblique injury and had just missed games in each of the previous 2 seasons because of his shoulder injuries. So he is rather injury prone, but that being said, all I want to say is the Giants better not draft him. I'm not a big fan of Quinn Ewers. There's a reason why all of the Texas fans and all of the die-hard football fans, they want to see Arch Manning at the helm before they see another year of Quinn Ewers. Like, a lot of Texas fans that I know, they would much rather see Arch Manning play quarterback. And I mean, Ewers did have a chance to return back to college for another season, since he appeared in just 1 game at Ohio State during the 2021 season, so he has that. But it's not, if he were to do that, it would be unlikely that he goes back to Texas, because like Carson Beck, I will say Carson Beck, it was rumored and like it was expected that Carson Beck would end up going into the draft after this year, but instead he decided to enter the transfer portal and go to the Miami Hurricanes. So maybe a similar situation can happen for Quinn Ewers if that's what he wants. But because again, this quarterback class isn't really that strong. I will say that. I don't think this is while Cam Ward is amazing, Shedeur Sanders, there's a lot of speculation on whether or not he would be able to evolve into that franchise quarterback that a lot of teams expect him to be, that I expect him to be. But Quinn Ewers, I mean, this pick I don't think it would be any better, because it's not like he's, at least in my opinion, he seems very shaky in those very important moments. Now, despite the fact that the Longhorns ended up dominating in their conference this year, I don't really think that sort of means much when you have a roster as dominant and as studded as this. But again, there's a reason why Arch Manning is heavily expected to take the helm, and they would rather do that than spend another year with Quinn. Now, Manning, again, he was a 5-star recruit in the class of 2023 and has been seen as a Texas, like, for a very long time, he's been seen as the quarterback of the future for Texas. And his presence is a big reason why Ewers became the subject of a viral report that was offered $6 million by an unnamed school to continue his college career for another season. These are the kind of offers that you can get now with NIL and things like that. So there's never really been any verification that reports from the reports, and Ewers' decision to go pro, it might be mainly influenced because the next quarterback is going to be Manning, but Ewers isn't really seen as a surefire early round pick either, and he could easily move up the draft boards with strong workouts. And the class of 2025 isn't considered a strong year for quarterbacks, as I've mentioned before. And there isn't really a clear number 3 quarterback option behind Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. So that's really the biggest problem with this QB class. There's not many people that other scouts would really rely on. Now, with Ewers going to the NFL, Texas can begin its Manning era, and he'll most likely be redshirted his sophomore year in 2025, and he's going to have 3 years of eligibility remaining with the option to go to the NFL as early as 2026. And in 9 appearances in 2024, Manning was 61 of 90 passing for 939 yards and 9 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions. He also rushed the ball 24 times for 100 yards and scored 4 touchdowns. Now, Manning is going to probably be an early number 1 pick in mock drafts all over with great season as a starter. I think he's going to be really good in college, but as of January 2025, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a guarantee that Manning would immediately leave for the NFL if he has success. And he chose Texas knowing full well that Ewers was entrenched as the starter. So chances are he knows that he's going to end up taking that role in very little time. And that's really the biggest takeaway that I have from this. This is going to be the start of Arch Manning going into his Texas quarterback era, and whether or not he becomes a Giant in the future or something like that, I don't know. We have to figure that out. That's still an option that's on the table, assuming that the Giants do what the Giants do and they just disappoint every single year. That could definitely happen. I could totally see the Giants ending up with another losing season year after year, and they have to go ahead and draft another quarterback, and most likely, hopefully, that would be Arch Manning, who is, again, he's been a 5-star quarterback ever since he was in high school, so he is that guy, and I'm very curious to see what he does going into his future with Texas. But with that being said, that's all that I have in this second segment. So now we're going to go into the third segment where I talk about the possibility of Jimmy Butler forcing his way onto the Suns. So I'll be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.